Let's talk about this, because I do think a lot of people want this discussion to happen. So we have to talk about Elune, the sort of reveals around Elune. And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, if you do not want spoilers, now is the time to click away. If you don't want spoilers, now is the time to click away, because this is big. This is very big, from a spoiler perspective at least. Okay, so we have this. Pyromonster tweeted this out, and I believe this is from the PTR questing. My sister, after all this time, she did not abandon me. The barest hint of a smile graces the Winter Queen's face before it is gone. She turns her attention to you with the weight of eons. Attend me, Xerxes. Take my sister's tear and come to the heart of the forest. Alright, so suddenly everything that we've been saying for months falls into place. It is Elune. She is the sister of the Winter Queen. But this actually goes much deeper than that, because to where I am and where I view this theory going, this has some crazy implications for the Titans and what we knew about the Titans. Because this literally, in my mind, changes everything. So how do I go about sort of explaining this? Okay, so first and foremost, we need to look at was it the French translation? Where did I find it? The thing I wanted to fucking discuss. Here we go. So this is sort of the first real information we got about Elune. This is from our records of how the earliest moments of the universe sort of went. This is what Khadgar told us. I was going through some ancient cosmology tomes when I stumbled upon a passage indicating that the Prime Naaru may have been created by Elune during the Great Ordering of Light and Shadow. If Elune did create Zera, then it stands to reason that we could use the Tears of Elune to unlock the secrets of Light's heart. Okay, this was all the way back in Legion. Now, this was the only time that we really got insight into Elune. Now, remember, there's also the whole sort of belief that Elune may have been a Naaru, which made Tyrande ridiculously angry. So, if Elune did create the Naaru, so let's imagine for a second that this is true. Now, I do want to just sort of throw a little bit of a stop in your path here and say, hold up. This is from the cosmology tomes that we possess, most likely heavily influenced by the Watchers, who would have been heavily influenced by the Titans themselves. So there is every chance that none of this is real, right? That whatever is written there is complete nonsense. But let's imagine that Elune did create the Naaru. And now, armed with the knowledge that Elune is in fact the Winter Queen's sister, what does that tell us about the story moving forward? What does that tell us about the Titans? Now, I will start right at the beginning. We have an ocean of light surrounded, conceivably, by an ocean of void, right? At least wherever the light isn't, the void would be. The ocean of light explodes outwards, and that would be the sort of big bang of the universe. We are then told that energies or pockets of energy formed near stars, which attracted mass, and eventually the Titan worlds were born, where the Titans lay sleeping, right? And one by one, they would wake up when their time was ready. This is the original story, according to the Titans, of our universe. We have no evidence that the Eternal Ones had the same sort of shall we say, creative process, except for the fact that, to my mind, the Eternal Ones now make more sense as Titans. The Eternal Ones, to me, feel exactly the same as the Titans. What did the Eternal Ones do to the Shadowlands? Quick question for everyone. What did the Eternal Ones do to the Shadowlands? They ordered it. They came in and they changed the way They changed the way the Shadowlands functioned forever. And then something else really started to bother me. If we go back to Denathrius and sort of Prince Renethal, where Prince Renethal talks about the creation of the Nathrezim, right? Prince Renethal says that the Nathrezim was discovered, their infiltration of the light was discovered, and the light attacked Revendreth. But Maldraxxus did not rise up to defend Revendreth. Revendreth was left to defend themselves. Why? Now, take this, what we know about Elune. Take what we know about the Winter Queen and Elune. Take what we know about the Eternal Ones themselves, and then, more importantly, take what we know about the Titans. And then it all makes sense. They are all of the light. An ocean of light explodes outwards. Pockets of energy form near stars. Where did those pockets of energy come from? The light. They were in the ocean of light at the moment of their birth. They were created in light. So what is the first ones? What is the Titans or the Eternal Ones? And I will say Titans / Eternal Ones because that's sort of where I think the truth lies. They are the same. They are all children of the light, of the first ones. The first ones made all of the Titans. Why did they do it? Well, before we do that, let's just go back a little bit further. The first ones did not make the universe. That is the Clockmaker. The Clockmaker created the universe. The first ones were the ones who ordered the universe. So they took their own children, much like what the Titans did on Azeroth, much like what the Eternal Ones do, where they have all of these sort of upper beings within the ranks, right? So they have the normal followers, the normal sort of Kyrian, but then they have the Paragons. The Paragons are more powerful than the general Kyrian, but not as powerful as the Archon, right? So children making their own children all the way fucking down. This is what the first ones did. They created their own children. Why did they do this? I believe to try and stop chaos. Now, this is where I think things get really interesting. And this thought was really sparked by Balula, right? No, Zuval is not a first one. Zuval is a creation of the first ones that saw the folly in their ideals, in what they were trying to do. And so he changed it. He changed his mind. He realized that these cosmological forces are not meant to be chained. They're not meant to be ordered. They're not meant to be sort of held back. They're meant to be free. That's the whole purpose of them. That's what they're meant to be. Now, if we look at real life, if you know anything about the Big Bang, you would know that the origins of our universe, of the multiverse or the universe, whichever, how big or how small you want to look at it, was extremely chaotic, right? I mean, there's theories that suggest that the moon is the result of another planet or asteroid literally colliding with Earth. And that shattered a part of Earth away from it that eventually would become the moon. So you have, like, there's so much chaos that happens in the early stages of a universe. If you are beings whose sort of main drive is to create order, what do? You create your children, and your children take charge of all of these forces looking to enact themselves or enforce themselves onto the universe as a whole. So you plant your own children inside these cosmology forces. The ones that you can't sort of contain, you lock them away. You sort of close the veil for them. This is what I believe happened to the Void. As the Void was struggling to get free from this control, the first ones realized it doesn't matter how many of our children we throw into the Void, they all succumb to the Void and then they turn on us. So we'll just lock the Void away. We'll just lock them away, keep them safe, And that's it, right? That way the void can't really interfere with the rest of the universe. Death, most likely similar. They chained Death and they placed their own children in charge of Death. Death would become the new sort of vehicle. Sargeras most likely realized that their ideals were folly. Their ideals weren't going to work. Their sort of grand vision for the universe wasn't going to work. And he turned against the vision that the Titans have. But why? Why do I believe that all of these beings come from the light? Now, for this, I actually have to thank Balula. I was watching Balula's newest video. Kale Dano actually linked it to me saying, look at the cool editing here. Very cool video. A lot of good things coming out of that video. But there was something he said in the video that just... I mean, we've discussed this in the past, but now with all the new knowledge we have of the story, the sort of macro story, it just immediately opened my mind to what is actually going on here. The Void sees every possible truth. They see every possible outcome of the universe. Truth is a strong word for what they do. They see all the abilities and all the ends in which they lose, but also all the ends in which they win. The problem for the Void is they can't discern which one of these truths or which one of these timelines is the right timeline, which is the true timeline where these things are going to happen. So how did the Void overcome their issues? Strength in numbers. They threw uncountless numbers of old gods into the universe to ensure that they blanket every planet in the universe. And the only job that these old gods have is to do... So when they look at a timeline in which they lose, right? They will not do any of the things that led to them losing. And they will do everything that led to them winning. Right? So that's how the Void tries to ensure that the timeline that emerges as the true one is the timeline in which they win. They learn from their mistakes on the things that they do wrong, right, in the universes where they lose, and they take the successes in the universes that they win, and they sort of try to replicate that in every single universe, cancelling out the bad shit and entering in the good shit. That's how the Void tries to ensure its victory in the greater universe. The Light, on the other hand, sees one truth. It has literally the ability to see one truth, and that is the only truth that matters. And it is most likely a truth, a future, in which they win. So what does the Light do? Well, for the Light, complete and utter submittance, control, order is required. If the Light is going to win, it will win through order. Because in the universes where they lose, chaos reigned. So their main purpose, their main struggle is to impose order on the universe. It is what the Eternal Ones do. It is what the Titans do. Every single one of these beings is hyper fixated on order, on ensuring order. So the Titans / Eternal Ones, because I believe they're the same, especially now that we know that Elune is these fucking ads that keeps making noise pisses me off. Sorry about that, guys. So the fact that Elune is a sister of the Winter Queen and yet decided to go to a different part of the universe to create order there tells us everything we need to know. The Winter Queen thought that her sister had abandoned her because they were sent to the Shadowlands. Elune, on the other hand, realized that no, if we are going to win, someone is needed in reality. Someone is needed to create order there. Someone is needed to give the Titans that will create or order the world. Someone is needed to give them a blueprint. So Elune creates the Emerald Dream. Now, I realize this conflicts with what we are told in the Cosmology, in the Chronicles. Elune creates the Emerald Dream as the ability for the Titans to build the world in accordance to what the light views as its ultimate victory, so that ultimately the light will reign supreme. This once again proves to me that the true prime forces in the universe is the light and the void. These are they are the prime forces. They are the true forces opposing one another. The other forces is sort of meant as balancing acts between these two. They're not necessarily the forces that's going to take over from the light or the void, right? They're more the forces that simply cause issues for both the light and the void. Now, to those of you that isn't happy with Elune being the sister of the Winter Queen and not a first one, you sort of only have yourself to blame. Zalath told you already in Legion that Elune is an upstart goddess. Zalath had very little respect for Elune. Why? Because Elune is just an eternal one. She's just a titan. There's nothing special about Elune. The other thing that I'm happy about, and the reason I think this is such a good thing, is I want the first ones to be things that we've never encountered before. I don't even want the first ones to be a name that we've heard before. They should be completely new. They should be this sort of strange existence of something that we only get to meet when they're ready to be introduced. I don't want someone that I already know in the story to be a first one. Because then the problem with that argument or the problem with that scenario becomes, why the fuck did you not help when all the shit was going down? You're a first one. You are a first one. You should be able to help, right? You should be able to intervene and say, no, stop this. You're not going to kill my people. And yet she never does. Elune did nothing. When her people were burning, all she did was she put them to sleep. But we also now, and this is the big one, know exactly why Sylvanas burnt the tree. Has any of you connected the dots yet? The jailer is in a fight with all of his brothers and sisters. He needs all of them involved in the fight. You see, right now, he can't get to Elune. Elune isn't in the Shadowlands, so he can't get to her. The amount of power he would require in order to fucking take the fight to Elune would be more than what would be necessary if he could just find a way to pull Elune into the fight. By destroying the tree, by declaring war on Elune's people, Elune is automatically dragged into the fight. She has to help now. You understand what I'm saying? There is a chance that the tear of Elune is going to be the thing that the jailer needs. There is a chance that that is something that the jailer requires. And for that reason, Teldrassil had to burn. Otherwise, she wouldn't have fucking joined. She wouldn't have joined the fight. And if she doesn't join the fight, the jailer can't get his hands on the tears of Elune. Or, even better yet, he can't get his hands on her. So, all of this was so meticulously planned by the jailer. He knew when to topple one domino so that all the dominoes would fall with it. He understood which thread needed to be pulled when to ensure that at the end of it, all threads lead to all of the Eternal Ones in the Shadowlands trying to stop him. That might also be why the jailer is trying to get hold of Odin. Now, I'm not saying that is exactly it, by the way. He wants the Titans there as well. So he truly wants his brothers and sisters, all of them, every single Watcher, every single being that was created by the first ones, they must all get involved so that he can stop all of them at once. That's what the jailer is after. That's why the involvement of someone like Odin is important to him, because Odin, whilst not necessarily answering to Aman'Thul, there isn't a chance that if Odin is in danger and Odin is, on his last legs, that Aman'Thul might show up. Of course, we have the other side of that, and this might also be one of the reasons that Odin has to be there. The Lord of Ravens shall turn the key, right? Which means he needs Odin for something. Odin is the key, or the key turner rather. So it doesn't help that he has the Tears of Elune. He requires someone to actually activate that. As for whether or not the jailer is a good guy, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. But anyways, that's my sort of big brain speculation on the Winter Queen and Elune being sisters, on what this tells us. I'd love to know. What do you guys think? Yes, no? Are you with me? Do you disagree with me on things? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, because obviously this is sort of brand new information that just really opens up the story quite fucking heavily